mix the scope, periscope, just in case it goes out again, which it will. That's okay. We're fine. We want to get as much down on here because people tend to want to see what's on these YouTubes, and we're going to talk a little bit tonight about the rape culture, possible rape culture in America, and what it means, well, what it is. And then you can decide if we have a culture or however you want to decide, but it's real. So we have, welcome to you. We're waiting now for us to come live with our people on Blog Talk Radio. This is Loren, and I'm the author of Teddy Bear Stolen Innocence, a story of incest and sexual abuse in a black family. My family. I was the object of my father's desire when I was, actually, they said I was a beautiful baby. So I don't know if he had a child fetish, meaning a baby fetish as well. But at round 3, 4, 5, 6, he decided that he wanted to play with me, and so not only molested me, but raped me, and of course from that you have incest and what have you, all happening. And then the fact that he was a preacher makes you really wonder that I had to sit under him. I didn't have to, but I did as a young person. And everything was all blocked out in my mind. And yet to discover later in life that in my brother's house, there was already, incest was going on. And my brother, when he was 13, 14, he did the same thing my dad did. Then to find out in his own house when he got 5 kids, the same mess was going on with his kids. So I know what it's about, and those folks that don't know or not understand, it's real, and it happens here in America. And so there are those who actually, it's a fetish to them, or a get off, or a turn on, whatever word you want to use, and they actually buy the films that are made where men are raping women, women raping men, and it's almost like the snuff film. The people that actually get off or have sexual, they get out of a climax, what have you, when people are being killed. So we have the snuff films, we have the rape films, people who get off on that, and people who think it's cute, think it's funny, think it's a sexual turn on. And so that is what we have going on in America. All right, we got something going on here. Going to come live on Blog Talk Radio. Okay, we are live. All right, and our phone lines are available to you at 347-637-3758. You can call in and speak to me, and I'll talk with you on this program. Phones are live. We may not be able to hear you, but we'll hear you on Blog Talk Radio. Tonight, let's just do a quick prayer. Father, we thank you for tonight. Thank you for the followers, the listeners, the haters, the lovers, all of what we have and don't have. We give you praise for everyone, and especially those who have suffered at the hands of someone else and have been raped, been molested, and have been abused. Thank you for them no longer being the victim, but being the victor, the overcomer. Bless them, give them strength, and let the healing begin if it hasn't, and continue if it has, and let them grow strong in you. We thank you, and to be able to live on this planet in life. Now, I was looking at somebody, another very nice lady, who has a video out there about her father was her first person to rape her, first sex case, and how she essentially, almost 1 million people have seen her video, and I know how neat, and she tells it like it is. And so we've become, I would say, friends, acquainted in this role to share basically our stories. But she, in listening to her, I don't hear, and again, not criticizing, just observation, the sense of true healing and love that you really can have after such a dastardly deed is done to you. In her case, her father. In my case, my father. And so I'm looking forward to sharing more with her and blessing her with the word that hopefully will bring that inner peace that is available to anyone. And that's why, we might change this title to "You Too Can Be Saved." You too can be free. That's kind of a neat phrase, and it's not aggressive, I guess, and it's not negative. It's just a phrase. You too can be set free, or you too can be free. So, point is, it's available. It's not something that's magical. It's not something that is, mystical. We've got all these folks out here in mysticism and what have you. No, it is it's by the power of the living God, the one that created us, can also fix us, can also bring the transformation that is needed to when there's been an offense of such a magnitude. And rape is a order of magnitude that is great. Now, let's look at a couple things. We put the title out there, Do We Live in a Rape Culture? And I wanted to share some things. Now, I want to also say that molestation is typically how it kind of starts out for a lot of these people. It starts say guys, but gals do it too. So we're gonna have to leave the women out. They think they can get by. No, women rape too, and are raped both. So, but many of the victims at that time, I was a victim as a child. So, the time it was, starts out with molestation, and starts out with the grooming and preparing, especially in families, and where they think they can have a long-term kind of influence. It starts out with molestation, and so it's really the term here, sexual abuse or molestation, the undesired sexual behavior by one person upon another person. So, and then when it becomes forcible, it then can be escalated to the term of assault. And then, of course, it goes into actual rape, where the person, there's penetration, what have you, then it's rape. And then it goes on. So, but the question of this rape culture, and I saw this, and I've heard about it. We talked about it 7 years ago when we first published the first book. But well, we might as well revisit it. We're going to keep visiting all these subjects as we make ourselves available for those who want to take advantage of the "you too can be free." But it was a feminist idea, and it started actually in a film called Rape Culture, 1975. Okay, and rape culture is a setting in which rape is pervasive and normalized due to societal attitudes about gender and sexuality. The sociology of rape culture is studied academically by the feminists. There's disagreement. I said that before we started. A lot of disagreement on what rape culture is, and that's okay. We can disagree to agree to disagree. Behaviors commonly associated with rape culture include victim blaming, sexual objectification, trivializing rape, denial of widespread rape, refusing to acknowledge the harm caused by some forms of sexual violence, I think all forms. Personally, refusing to, let's see what else here. The notion of rape culture has been used to describe and explain behavior within social groups, including prison rape. We hear that. And of course, war rape. Think of all the stuff that our soldiers did over in Korea and in South and Vietnam and wherever they've gone, and they come back with the war babies, the brides, what have you. Then we have the other side. Evidence suggests that rape culture is correlated with other social factors and behaviors such as rape, the rape myth, they call it, the victim blaming, trivialization of rape, and that is really very annoying. When I've heard pastors get up in the pulpit and say, just get over it. You know, why don't they just get over when folks stop paying their tithes? Why don't they just get over when folks stop coming to the church, you know? It's really pretty sad. But they haven't been through anything traumatic, more than likely. So they don't have the sensitivity or understanding of human anatomy and human behavior, I would suspect. Or, more than likely, they're in denial. A lot of folks are in denial. Alright, so it's correlated with that, the racism, the sexism, homophobia, ageism, classism, listen to all these things, religious intolerance, and other forms of discrimination. So, you got a lot of stuff that's trying to go out there and trying to belittle the fact that, you know, when somebody is raped, it's a serious offense, and especially when it's somebody in your house, your father, your mother, your sister or brother, your uncle, your aunt, auntie, and on and on. And this notion that so much of this incest and all this stuff is somebody down the street around the corner. Well, in the case of a little girl over there in Orange County, it was an exterminator. So you do have some voyeurs who are also they got some other issues. But most of your voyeurs just want to watch, want to see. Okay, let's go on. I was going to, let's see, pull up here. I pull up some more information. So I like to use different sources. And Marshall University, they have a neat article that they published, and it says, "What is rape culture?" And this, again, tonight, see, we asked the question. We're not making an accusation. We're asking a question. And if you take it as accusation, that's on you. We're asking a question to get you to think and to, if need be, respond and act in a positive way, in an intelligent way, in an informed way. And I know around these issues of sex and violence, there's not a lot of intelligence and what have you. It's all emotional. But if you can step out of it, step back and start to look at things so that you can help somebody besides just helping yourself. Rape culture, according to Marshall University, is an environment in which rape is prevalent and in which sexual violence against women is normalized. Remember, I read that earlier. And excused in the media. Media's done a lot of damage. And popular culture. Yeah, the media is something. And, you know, for example, all the rape kits that they're finding that are still sitting on the shelves in police stations around the country. I mean, just dastardly. And, of course, you got white males predominantly in these places over the years. Now we've got more people of color, I guess. But, you know, they're the ones who predominantly were doing all the rapes. And so their whole attitude towards it was not very healthy, obviously. Rape culture is perpetuated through the use of misogynist language, the objectification of women's bodies, and the glamorization of sexual violence. Remember I said the movies that have been made, the snuff movies. We got, probably tonight do program on snuff movies. I mean, can you imagine somebody having an orgasm when they watch somebody have their bag put over their head, and as they're dying, they're having an orgasm? This is real, and it happens. No different than the bestiality and all the other things that are offenses and trigger points. Trigger points, remember that. The glamorization of sexual violence, thereby creating a society that disregards women's rights and safety. So, rape culture affects every woman. And see, I would add, it affects every man, or at least men that, for whatever reason, get caught in it. Children, little folks like myself, one time. But this is geared toward the women. So, let's go on. The rape of one woman is degradation, terror, and limitation to all women. Most women and girls limit their behavior because of the existence of rape. Most women and girls live in fear of rape. Men, in general, do not. Now I don't, but there was a time way back when I did. Didn't have anything to do with men. Matter of fact, I would have just, back then, I just assumed they'd all been killed or their throats cut. But, you know, when the Lord brings healing and learn things different, it's like, oh, we're all very valuable to each other and to God first, but to each other as well. We're needed for purpose. And that's not the whole thing. So let's go on. That's how rape functions as a powerful means by which the whole female population is held in subordination to the whole male population. Even though many men don't rape, and many women are never victims of rape, the cycle of fear is the legacy of the rape culture. And I'm not going to read your name that's writing these comments in the MIXLR. What is it? Let me get what room you're in. We got 2 or 3 rooms here. We got the MIXLR and we have the Blog Talk. We have someone writing comments. And understand, I just go through stuff systematically, and if that doesn't suit your needs, I do apologize, but that's how I do it. So you can join us and enjoy how I do it, or maybe this is not the right place for you. This is, we want to give as much information as we can and let people make their own decision. Examples of rape culture. Let's get into that. Blaming the victim, she asked for it. Trivializing sexual assault, boys will be boys. Sexual explicit jokes. Tolerance of sexual harassment. And the joke thing, the Bible even talks about jesting and joking and carrying on. And there was a time when I heard some jokes that I thought were very inappropriate, but I wasn't in place many years ago to know how to deal with it, because I was still in the place of healing. That's a long time ago, but I heard them anyway. Inflating false rape report statistics. Now, inflating. Sorry about that, folks. Inflating false rape report statistics. One that I don't know if it's going to be, or one that really annoys me, are the women that cry rape and they really want rape. And that's when I've made comments on Facebook where people have asked, taking surveys, what should be done about these women that have done that to men, and the man didn't rape them, didn't abuse them, and they just were doing it because they wanted to get back at the person. And I said, yeah, that person ought to be somewhere in jail as well. They're female. Publicly scrutinizing a victim's dress, mental state, motives, and history. And I'm going to do eventually a program on this whole thing of dress and all these other trigger points, because I think that this is where I know what they're saying and understand that side of it, but you have to understand the other side, I believe, or at least know it, that what is it in the brain that a male sees or a female sees. We just had a woman here in the high desert. I think she was 34, and the young fellow was 14, not even 3 miles from where we're sitting, having sex with him. And so she was arrested. I think yesterday or the day before. So there's something in up here that triggers these things, especially men when they see a certain way a woman's dressed and they get turned on. And the problem is, obviously, that they take it to the level of doing something rather than dealing with what's happening internally and finding a better way to release that energy and understand what that is. And I know that's probably too intellectual. Maybe it is, I'm not sure. But mental state, motives, and history, gratuitous gendered violence, and movies and violence. We have a lot of that. Defining manhood as dominant and sexually aggressive. Now, the funny thing about some of these comments, it really is funny when you see these women who are dykes and they dress like men and they look like men and they act like men. And it's like, now what is that? It's just most interesting. Defining womanhood as submissive and sexually passive. Now, that whole thing, that comment, I believe, comes from, again, if you believe the Bible, women have a role that is different in biblical women's, Christian women. Their roles should be a little different than the world's women. Okay? And so, but to carry that into the world, you're in the wrong place. However, if that's your way of living, then when you're in the world, you have to, people need to know this is what I believe and this is how I am. And if they don't accept that, they have a problem. Pressure on men to score. Not only to score, but they talk about their scoring. It's really pretty pathetic, some of the things that I've heard over the years that men have done. Pressure on women not to appear cold. Well, you know, if they are cold, they are. But that's part of the rape culture, you know, and that's also a protective thing, I believe. Assuming only promiscuous women get raped, definitely not true. Assuming that men don't get raped or that only weak men get raped, okay, that's not true. Refusing to take rape accusations seriously, and teaching women to avoid getting raped instead of teaching men not to rape. That's right for me. Don't need to do it. Matter of fact, one of the things that my wife, she'll laugh. She's here. She'll laugh because my proposal, and the church don't like this, and that's fine. I don't really care if they do or don't. But I would give all these folks that have chosen not to do it God's way. Now hear me out very clearly. If you've chosen not to do it God's way, you're going to do your thing, then I would give all these men a doll. I'd say go buy yourself a doll, and or if you need to have 2 or 3, and do what you got to do. But now, if you're going to do it God's way, you don't need a doll. You're going to learn how to be celibate. You're going to learn how to be abstaining. You're going to learn how to wait and have sex when you get married. True for the men, true for the women. But for folks that choose not to follow the Bible and follow what the Lord intended for all of us, then I believe they need to have some things, tools available, and do what they're going to do. Because the outcome of that is between them, God, and the devil. Not between me. I'm not in it. Other than I understand that they're trying to work something out and they need to get it worked out. Now, listen, here's the comments also from this Marshall University. How can men and women combat the rape culture? Avoid using language that objectifies or degrades women. Speak out if you hear someone else making an offensive joke or trivializing rape. Like I said, probably 40 years ago, 50 years ago, when I'd hear all that junk, I didn't know how to deal with it. But boy, right now, my wife will tell you, the other side of this is when women are still hitting on me. Women are still doing all their silly things, and I put them in their place. I have a wife, and that's all I need. And I'm very thankful for her, very pleased with her, and women need to know that. If they don't understand it, I help them. Or my wife tells me as well, whatever. But, our society is just, well, that's why we're doing the show. Exposing and confronting sexual perversion. This is the last big hurrah, I believe, before Jesus comes. That Satan is just unleashing. Well, it's about a couple, 2 or 3 of them, but this is one of them. Probably 3 biggest things the devil's going to do to the greatest extent. Jesus said it would happen. I've already taught him that, and it's happening. Let's go on. Combating this. If a friend says she has been raped, take her seriously and be supportive. I agree with that. Think critically about the media messages about women, men, relationships, and violence. Be respectful of others' physical space, even in a casual situations. Always communicate with sexual partners and do not assume consent. That is one of the biggest things I have today. We were talking to somebody. Talk to folks. You're in the same house. You're in the same room. You're at the same job. You're in the same car. Talk about the issues. Communicate. Don't make assumptions. Don't just, deal with it. Quit playing games. That's the big problem with America. We've got these folks running around with this Pokemon and all this other baloney. Just games. They're out of it. And reality, they can't handle it. And we know that's why they say truth can be sometimes more bizarre than fiction. Define your own manhood or womanhood. Do not let stereotypes shape your actions. Get involved. Join a student or community group working to end violence against women and, in my case, against men. Yeah, that's why I wrote this book, because I know there are men out there that are terrified, and they're men that some of them will never get married. The Lord don't bless us or someone to get to them, and the minister, they will never have anything with women. And same with women, nothing with men. So we're here to help where we can and to see if we can be a blessing to somebody. Now, this is please excuse me. Let's see here if I can get this article. My computer's acting crazy. This is another one. Let's see how much time we have. Hey, we don't have time. Okay, so we've covered, pretty much specifics to give you. That was, and we'll do this program again. Next time we'll use a different university or a different one, just to get you thinking and to realize it's happening. And one of the things that I saw President Obama and Vice President Joe Biden doing their documentation in it says, one is too many. I like that. It's kind of cute. One, and then the number one is, the word is, and then the number 2, many. One is too many. And then all that work that they do. And I've said this, and to see them have it written was good for me to see. If you see things, you hear things, you know things, and you don't do anything about it, you're probably part of it, even though you may silently contribute. So do something, help out, encourage people, be an encourager, help them, and you got to report, but don't sit on the side of the key, though. Don't get yourself in harm's way. That's what President Obama said, that's what Vice President Biden said, and that's what the Lord was saying, and that's what I do. All right, so let's know that rape is someone, I think they said about every couple, 3-4 seconds, that someone in America is being raped with someone. So it's happening, right? It's been going on. We've been on now for 25 minutes. And just think of the number of people across the country where this is happening. And college campuses are really very, very hotbeds for this stuff. Okay, jobs. I mean, just so many places. But you can be a part of the solution, or you can continue to be a part of the problem. Let us see where we are. Okay, we have no hands raised, and you too can be set free. So if you want to get any more information, remember we have a survey. Take the survey, get this book, okay, Teddy Bear Stolen Innocence. That's available. You want this book, where these programs are coming from. These programs are based on this book and all the additional data that we have learned and are learning, continuing to learn. It's there. Go to our website, lorendew.com. And again, Loren Dew, my name, Lorendue, and you will see there the Dr. Who books. Go there and definitely get the books. You can see if you want to get it one way or the other. Alrighty, so much for tonight. Question was, do we live in rape culture? You have to make your decision, your choice, and go from there and see what what choice you make on where we are. I think that's all I want to share tonight. Glad that you could join us. We'll be back tomorrow night. I don't know our subject, but it'll be something provocative. And join us to tomorrow evening, and we'll be back with more. And you to understand that you can help. See, men are going through this. Women are going through it, obviously. And starting the Bible, I think there are two just insidious rapes in the Bible. One in Genesis chapter. Let me take Genesis 1, but one in 2 Samuel, David's daughter, and then the one in Judges. Two prolific stories, just to make us know what's really going on. So keep this in mind. Why suffer when others are being healed? Folks are suffering from all this stuff. Why die? People are dying. Some of these nuts not only rape, but then they kill. And then expect a miracle. And then know that pain is not for life. Alright. Until tomorrow, have a great evening. Night out there on YouTube. Give us a call.